Okay, so let's say we have an IP address of a network address 192.168.5.0. It's a /24 a class C address, and we want to subnet it further. It's a class C. We want to do classful addressing, classful subnetting, and use a /26 prefix. Okay, so by default this would have a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. okay, that will be the default subnet mask /24. okay, so if we're going to subnet this using the octet boundary, then we only need to borrow 2 more bits. Okay, 2 more bits. Okay, which means that we'll have to draw our line here, and we won't touch this, we won't touch this, we won't touch this octet, but notice that these are all ones. Okay, that's 1 up to 8, 16, that's 24. We need to borrow 2 more bits, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. So the rest is all zeros. These are all ones for network, and these are all for host. Now notice that that's our octet boundary. So number of bits borrowed is 2 bits borrowed. Okay, so we would expect that if we're going to find out how many subnets can we have out of this address, 2 raised to the power 2 bits borrowed equals 4 subnets. Okay, now let's find out what will be our subnet addresses. Okay, so you would have seen that video. The key here is to find the magic number, meaning you find what's your network increment, and that network increment will help you find your broadcast count number. I use those two terms, network increment and broadcast count. So if you start from the 0 here and you go up, you will notice the first one we come across has a place value. Okay, so you remember those place values. We have 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, okay, and 128. Okay, those are our place values. So if we were to go by those place values, this will be 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. So our first network will start with 192.168.5.0, okay, 5.0, and the next network will be 0. Okay, we notice that this has a place value of 64. Okay, so that's our network increment number, 64. So what I mean by that is, to find the next subnet, we add, okay, this is 5.0 plus 64. 5.64 will give us our next network. Okay, 5.64 plus 64 will give us 128. That will be our next network. Okay, so I'm not writing 192.168, but that will be the address. 192.168.5.64, 192.168.5.128. We still have one more network. 128 plus 64 should give us 192. Okay, 192. Okay, now by now you should notice that if we add 192 plus 64, we'll end up with 256, which is no longer, because we have to stop at 255. Okay, so I'll stop here, 192. Now these are our network addresses. Okay, so we have subnet 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have a total of 4 subnets. Now you can prove that by doing this. See, remember we borrowed 2 bits, so 2 raised to the power 2 equals 4. So that confirms subnet 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 subnets. Okay, so these are network addresses. What about that broadcast address? Now remember, this is 64. Okay, that means that all of these zeros, if you add all the place values, 1 plus 2, if you add 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 8 plus 16 plus 32, you will end up with 63. So it's always important to note that whenever you find this magic number, if it's 64, then the place values of all of these added together will be 1 less 64, which is 63. If you find that the magic number is 32, your binary count, your broadcast count number will be 1 less, which will be 31, and it goes on. Okay, it applies to the rest of the place values. Okay, so to find the broadcast for each subnet, we add, okay, so we know that our network increment is 64 and our broadcast count is 63. So 0 plus 63 will give us our broadcast count 192.168.5.63. Notice I'm just putting .63 there. You should know that it's 192.168.5.63. That's the broadcast. So network address, broadcast address. What's in between? .1 all the way up to .62. Okay, and it applies to the rest. To find the next network here, and it makes sense here because .63, the next network starts .64. 64 plus 63 will give you 127, and you have the next network beginning with 128. 128 plus 63 should give you 191, and 192 plus 63 should give you 255. So once you find your network number and you find your broadcast number, the range in between is usually your host range. Okay, so this is a basic example of how you can do a classful addressing, classful subnetting, subnetting going by the octet boundaries. So we just took a class C address 192.168.5.0, a network address with a default mask of /24, subnet mask of 255.255.255.0, and we subnetted it further to /26 using /26 prefix. So simply what we did was borrow 2 bits, and using those 2 bits we were able to find out the subnets. We know that there's going to be 4 subnets. Finding the magic number or the broadcast, the network increment and the broadcast count helps us to identify our network address for the first subnet, second subnet, third subnet, fourth subnet, including finding the broadcast addresses for each subnet. And then knowing these two gives us the host ranges in between for each subnet.